Ladies and gentlemen, we are now gathered for the newest inductee into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Our newest inductee into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame is important for a number of different reasons. The first reason is he's the first professional wrestling owner to be inducted in our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame on the day that 5 years ago that Sportswire Radio in its early stages grew into what it is today. Our newest inductee into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame is important for a number of reasons because of his giving back to our community in the world of wrestling, where he's used his post as the owner of Colory Championship Wrestling to be able to give back to those that haven't been able to fight for themselves. A recent example would be Mercy's Mighty Fight, where over 1,000 pounds was raised for a little girl who today celebrates her 6th birthday. And also, he has been involved in those that have needed help with cancer, helping out for those that have been the needy and the sick. And he's used his post ever since 2020, when he had a dream to start a wrestling company during a worldwide gimmick, a COVID pandemic. With everything that's happened since then has led him to 41 shows, an offshoot of not one, but 2 promotions underneath Colory Championship Wrestling, including Coming Out Championship Wrestling and Carnage Championship Wrestling. Of those 41 shows, it has been sellout after sellout. Wrestling star after wrestling star has graced CCW and has led a rallying cry of CC Dub, CC Dub, CC Dub over these past 3.5 years. Our newest inductee into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has also been important because when I think of the definition of what a Hall of Fame is, a Hall of Famer is somebody that goes above and beyond their means to not only help others, but also bring joy. And CCW is about to do that once again with their latest show this Saturday, which is sold out to no one's surprise, called Fighter Strike 3, where the winner of the Colory Rumble will have their chance at a championship shot at their choosing for the biggest CCW show of the year, Miners Mania. Our newest inductee into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has been arguably one of our biggest supporters in our 5 years in the history of Sportswire Radio. And I could not think of a better person to induct on the day that Sportswire Radio turns 5 years old and was the first day on January 25th, 2019, that I got my start into my career in doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to formally introduce, as our 24th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, alongside the likes in all order, the natural born fighter R.P. Davis, Dean Allmark, Justin Parsley, Joshua Allen, Ernest Dove, Omen Black, Soldier GP, Rob Maraska, Jackson Law, Chris Jones, Chris Pizzea, Patrick Trotty, Randy Dillon, Chris Craven, Bentley, Brent Piles, the Mayor of Canton, Glenn Abbott, Bobby Tats, Rob Barrass, Donald Stewart. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Colory Championship Wrestling owner, James Barrass. Congratulations, Mr. Barrass, in being inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But before we formally bring you on the stage, it's time to give you that introduction that the previous 23 names have gotten, and you take your place in history alongside those greats. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, the owner of Color Championship Wrestling, who calls himself the only boss of CCW. His name is James Barrass. Mr. Barrass, congratulations.
They say your stages to the top 10. Oh, they forgot how they got here. Why they talking like we not here? Like we been pitching on the ball, yeah.
Come close. Look. You know what that means? That means one thing, Sportswire. It's Crocomania time! Shut your mouth now. Now hold on a second. Why is my chair yellow? I asked for a black one. People just love to wind me up. Just love to wind me up.
You know, Mr. Barrass, I have to say, I've now done 24 of these, and 24 people have been inducted. I will say this one will be the one I will remember for a lifetime for a few reasons. First of all, you're the first one to actually come out to music. You actually came out throughout the curtain. You actually also had people chanting bobblehead Barrass. You also had people kind of giving you different things. You had people already in the comment section kind of questioning this. But nevertheless, this was one for the ages. And also, I had to remember all 23 names that got inducted. And I think I missed one, but I'm sure somebody could check and go back on the tape. But I will ask before we get to a lot, congratulations. And what does it mean to you now to be officially a member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame?
Well, firstly, Reverend, I want to thank you and Sportswire for everything you do for CCW. You know, everybody in CCW, the coverage, you getting it out there across the network, everything that you do. Thank you. How does it feel? Very good question. Give me 2 seconds. It feels good.
Are you having
very
a Guinness,
good.
Please? Are you having a Guinness?
It's Conor McGregor's forged. Conor McGregor's.
Of course,
it's better than Guinness. It's better than Guinness. You've got to drink like a champ. I'm a Hall of Fame now, so I'm all revved up. I'm ready to go.
Are you ready to go? Because I know there's going to be a lot of people that want to talk different things, but I obviously want to get to a couple of things. Plus, we actually have something that we want to present to you that formally shows you're in the Hall of Fame. Because people have asked, what is this Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame? People have asked, well, is it real? There was one nobody that talked about only backyard people were in the Hall of Fame. And actually, if you fact check it, we now have 24 members. So apparently there's a lot more people than backyard wrestlers in the Hall of Fame. We actually listed off some pretty
was that the backyard wrestlers that spoke about backyard wrestlers?
Well, let's not make it about them and everybody else. But I did want to ask you, and being a part of the Hall of Fame and everything else that's in between with that. I mean, how do you now go about your life? Does life become different for you? And I never asked this question to anybody. Has life now become different now that you're a Hall of Famer, Mr. Barrass?
Yeah, if you mean by them throwing rose petals on the floor everywhere I walk. No, they don't. They should do, though.
Something tells me, though, that's not going to happen in CCW. That's something that tells me you're not going to get rose petals in the Coloring Championship Wrestling fans. They're not going to give it to you.
I don't mind them calling me bobblehead as long as they threw rose petals at the floor and they acknowledged this Hall of Famer. Isn't that right?
Okay, well, you know what? I want to actually say hello to a few Hall of Famers, by the way, who would like to actually congratulate you. So let's break the fourth wall for a second. I want to actually bring up our final member of our second class in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, Luke Leyland. Luke is important because Luke just became the first British fighter to a fought in Dambe at the Kings of Dambe African Warriors Fighting Championship event in Nigeria. They have over 100,000 followers out there on Instagram. YouTube, they're massive. He wants to congratulate you. He was the
Thank
20th
you.
member
Thank
of
you
our
very
Sports
much.
Radio Hall. He was the guy I actually forgot. I was 23 names, and I was like, I forgot one. It was like that
We
was
haven't
that
forgot
moment.
you now, Luke. We haven't forgot you now.
Yes, and Luke will kill me for that, but Luke is the final member of our second class. He said, "Well done, sir, on your efforts for the seriously ill people. I think that life is not about what you get, but what you give. Well done.
Yep.
Excellent." And
Yep.
Luke is the man. Luke is awesome. If
Amen.
you aren't out there and you haven't followed Luke, he's on Instagram, Luke Leyland 1, African Warriors FC on all different platforms. Support them. They are awesome. I want to thank the African Warriors Fighting Championship for their support of my platform and everything that they do, and especially Luke Leyland, one of my biggest champions here. I want to wish a happy belated birthday to the third member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He is one half of the XCW Tag Team Champions. He is the first real wrestler. His name is Parsley's himself, Mr. Justin Parsley. Justin is out there in Shelbyville, Indiana for the gold standard of semi-pro wrestling, XCW. He says, happy birthday, Sportswire Radio. Likewise in Aquarius. Think about it. He got a birthday wish on my radio show, non from Sportswire Radio, yesterday, but also says you had the most Hall of Fame intro entrance today. You know what? I am going to remember that because you were the first one that came through a curtain. You had music. You had people chanting, not so much cheering, but you had a chair you came out to. I mean, this was one for the ages, Mr. Barrass.
Well, you only get this once. We get this once. Let's just do the best that we can with it.
Absolutely. Listen, that's what sweet dreams are made of. That's what Annie Lennox famously said. So I'm going to certainly go with that. But I do want to get to a couple of other people here. A man that had a few things to say about you last night. And boy, what a week it was on Sportswire, real quick. We had on this guy, Jay Carnage, a.k.a. Necro Daddy, a.k.a. Chris Levitt. We thought, how could we top that? Last night, we had the Tribal Cheese, and I think we topped it. And tonight, we've got you getting inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I don't know how it gets any better than this. I think at this point I could retire. I think somebody else can take over. I'm not. Don't worry. I think somebody could certainly take the baton from me. Maybe it's this voice of the colory that might take the baton from me. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it has been maybe the most memorable 3 days of my 5-year career. But speaking of that, the Tribal Cheese says he would make this over the top, wouldn't he? But he also says, though, Cheesemania running wild with that yellow chair. I mean, he talked a lot about top tier, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So he's here to wish you, I guess, congratulations. I suppose it was congratulations, but
I'll take it.
all right. And I think somebody who's actually congratulated you might know who this person is, right? You know who they are. All right, good enough.
Thank you, Danielle.
No comment. Also, Jam Dog, our hardcore champion, who's, by the way, getting inducted in a couple of weeks, wants to say that you won't get rose petals, Barrass. However, I will leave you a present in your bag on Saturday. Hopefully, it's not the one that X-Pac left on one of the WWE Divas years ago, so hopefully it won't be that kind of present. But
Just
certainly,
focus on, waking up in hospital and how you're going to deal
I'm
with
going to get to that also. Now, he's got a match with somebody that is top tier. I'm going to make sure I come back to that as well. Tribal Cheese wants to say CC Dub, CC Dub. And by the way, I hope you liked how I did put that in the introduction. I put CC Dub.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I
was
did.
going to do the CC Dub, but I thought it was kind of a monumental moment. I do want to also say hello to somebody I'll talk to in a little while, especially the words talk to. Good evening, Tom. It's a pleasure finally to watch one of your shows. As a general manager of Cutlery Championship Wrestling, I thank you on behalf of everybody for your amazing support of CCW. I thank you for that, and I'm wondering you might want to see something I'm going to present in a little while. So, Mr. Barrass, you might want to see that as well. I think this person who was a huge part of things before we went on the air in that press conference between Dagan and Spawn is here and says, how does it feel, James, knowing I'm standing over your champion right now, holding your title?
Shut your mouth, you little idiot, because Daddy is going to take care of you on Saturday.
Now, I think that if I could, I'm pretty sure I can say this with certainty. In a few weeks, Spawn is coming to Sportswire Radio. Just saying, Spawn is coming to Sportswire Radio, and I think
And
it's
you'll
all.
get the lowest views ever because nobody wants to watch him and see him. He's a disrespectful little delinquent, and he needs to start showing respect to his dad.
Well, I don't think he'll get the least views in history. That would probably have gone to some guy that used to be able to say he could do a blockbuster, but he certainly is about as irrelevant as what blockbuster video has to offer. But say nothing. I took care of that for you. It's your moment today, Mr. Barrass. Stay there. Hold that thought. Not so fast, my friend. Just saying. So I don't think he'll get the least views in history. That would go to that certain person or thing, whatever it might want to be here. But I do want to get to some more comments. Let's certainly continue these ceremonies for now for a few minutes. But congratulations and thanks, Tom, for making his head bigger than it is already. Now, has the size of your head actually grown in the last 15 minutes? Is that what somebody's saying?
Danielle, I know I love you, but just watch what you're saying. My head is big, but it doesn't grow any bigger when people say nice things about me. There you
Fair
go.
enough here. Fair enough. Mr. Logan wants to say it's a well-deserved Hall of Fame spot, although I will be coming after top tier. I acknowledge it. I'm gonna get to that. I will definitely get to all that in a second. I promise everybody I will absolutely get to all of that here. But I do want to recap for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio. Officially, today is our 5-year anniversary on Sportswire Radio, and I thought that
Happy
there'd be no
birthday.
better way. Well, not for me, but for the physical platform. But I thought there'd be no better way than to celebrate our anniversary by inducting as our 24th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, our first pro wrestling owner in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, Mr. James Barrass himself. And of course, Mr. Barrass since 2020 has owned Colory Championship Wrestling, which I continue to say should be Colory Community Wrestling. So hopefully one day he makes that change. But until then, all wrestling matters here with Mr. Barrass. And I appreciate him adapting our hashtag on his platforms and his company throughout this year. And also, he is alongside the likes of a number of individuals, well, 23, as a matter of fact, with the natural born fighter, R.P. Davis, Dean Allmark, not bad, who, by the way, just celebrated his own 24th anniversary in this business a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
Justin
I think.
Parsley, the birthday boy. Also, Josh Allen. Also, Mr. Ernest Dove. Also, Mr. Josh Fletcher. Also, Omen Black, Soldier GP, Rob Maraska, Jackson Law, Chris Jones, Chris Bizea, Patrick Trotty, Randy Dillon, Chris Craven, Bentley. Not too bad on Bentley, right? Also, Brent Piles, the Mayor of Canton, Glenn Abbott, Luke Leyland, Bobby Tats, Rob Barrows, and Donald Stewart. And now Mr. Barrass is in our third class in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling. I'm not the voice of the colory. I can confirm for you, Mr. Barrass, one thing. I'm not the voice of the colory. The reason that
I'm
that is
pleased
because,
you said
well,
that because I was going to ask that later.
I'm gonna get to that though, but I will actually go out there on a limb and tell you that I am not the voice of the color. The reason that is because I'm lucky to have a voice at this point. Because in the last 70, it's about 76 days at this
Yeah, you've
point.
done
I've literally done almost 100 shows, sir. So at this point, I may not have a voice after this induction ceremony, but I do have some more comments, and I want to say hello to some people. I want to say hello to our friend Jules NYC, who congratulates you on being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Hybrid though says this. Do you have tan? Did you get tan for this? Did you like? I mean, I realize it's what -10 in the UK right now, or where
I
coverage.
always look hot, hybrid. Come on.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that we'll have to find out. James, all I've done is get even with Dagan, and also well done to yourself for all you have done. Yes,
See, there we go again. Disrespect. Instead of saying his dad or father, it's Dagon. Now, that is one of the biggest disrespectful things as a father, to listen to your child call you by your first name. You address your dad or your father as their title, not their name. And that's what he does. But everybody loves him, though, even though he's disrespectful.
Well, you know what? I certainly am going to plead the fifth on that because I've definitely disrespected a lot of people these days, especially my parents, especially. I'm sure that would be. I do want to say hello to Mr. OK. And unfortunately for you, though, Jam Dog is saying he might be leaving you an X-Pac-like surprise on Saturday. So make sure, don't bring a bag on Saturday. My advice to you, don't bring a bag. But you know what? I'll get to all that Usually when we induct our different individuals in the Hall of Fame, and to recap, we have 23 so far. But Mr. Barrass, I wanted to get it out of the way now because a lot of people want to talk to you. There's a lot to talk about, especially in the current events world of Cutlery Championship Wrestling. We're going to put up all the plugs here in a second to support CCW. But, Mr. Barrass, we actually have something that we would like to present to you on behalf of Sportswire Radio and in being inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And I was wondering if you might want to see it, if I could present it on the screen. And, and I promise you it's nothing from the voice of the Cutlery. I promise you it's nothing from the Tribal Cheese, who, by the way, had his own day on Sportswire Radio. So, as a matter of fact, I would think this would be the time to do it because there's a lot of people that I think are they want to chant bobblehead Barrass, and not me, though. I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
Nobody wants to chant bobblehead Barrass.
Well, that's
right?
why I'm pleading the fifth on all of that, sir.
Shut your mouth now. Respect me.
Well, I would like to, though, as to steal a phrase from yesterday's show, acknowledge you on behalf of our platform and being in our Hall of Fame. So I think it'd be a good time now because a lot of people are kind of tuning in and they're certainly, really, really curious now about what I'm about to give you. So I would be wondering if it would be okay for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio and CCW fans, if I could show you something that we would like to give you in recognition of you being inducted into our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Look, go. I've got my drink and I'm ready.
Okay, Mr. Barrass. Well, here it is. For those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, we have something official. It's a proclamation, which I want to thank my crack staff for creating, and that's what we've done here. So on this day, January the 25th, 2024, James Barrass, you have been inducted officially as our 24th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. It has my signature, my John Hancock. It actually is worth something because I can definitely say it's not. People would say, well, it's not worth something, though. My signature is actually worth something because I do have physical net worth. But that's here nor there.
I think being recognised in life for what you do sometimes can mean a lot.
It is. No, you know what? Yeah. And all kidding aside, I wanted to do something special for the Hall of Fame because, some people have Hall of Fames and they just, maybe they give you a few minutes and maybe they say it and it doesn't mean anything. But we like to always do things with actions, not just words. And I really wanted to present you this. Obviously, I'm sure you're aware of it, CCW month on all Sportswire Radio platforms. But I wanted
thank
to
you for that and all.
a little, yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to make this day a lot more special than it already is by giving you something here on this day, January 25th, 2024. James Barrass, you are officially our 24th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. It has our logo. It has my signature, all that information that's on there. And certainly, you're welcome to do anything you want with it. Also, if you want to go on our website, it's sportswireradio.org. If you will scroll down on our website, officially now, if people want to check that out, it will see your name with the date you've been inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame and your position as the Cutlery Championship Wrestling owner. So congratulations, and you have certainly made your place in history, and we'll definitely leave it up for a couple of minutes before I get to some business. And also, Mr. Jamdog would like to say congratulations. We definitely agree. Also, Mr. Hybrid says, well done to all you've done. Yes, and you know what? And I want to spend a minute on that real quick. Since 2020, ladies and gentlemen, as I said in my speech, this is a man that had a dream during a worldwide pandemic. Oh, that was one of the words I stumbled on. It was a worldwide pandemic in 2020 that this man had a dream to start a wrestling promotion. And who would have ever thought that we would now be going on to our 41st show at all CCW shows, whether it's through Coming Out Championship Wrestling, which just had their first show. Congratulations to Taylor Troots. Carnage Wrestling also going to have their show officially February the 10th. We're going to talk with Ronnie Thatcher a little bit about that, although he's no longer in Power anymore in Carnage. And it's led us here to a slew of stars, a slew of great causes that you have championed. And that's why you're into our Hall of Fame, because it's not just about wrestling. It's about the community as a whole. And you have been that definition. And that's why I said the Hall of Fame to me is not just what somebody's done inside the ring or on behalf of those inside the ring. It's been what it's about outside the ring. And you have done that. You have been a champion of so many great causes. You've been a champion to help so many different people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all orientations. And that's why you're here in this Hall of Fame. And I want to say it one more time, and I want to address this for the final time. 2 years ago, people said, don't cover CCW. There was an individual that was going to come on the day that believed that you were going to come on and said that he did not want to come on because he heard about what had happened 2 years ago. And I said it then, and I will say it till the day I'm dead, which who knows when that'll be. As long as Sportswire Radio has a pulse, CCW will always have a pulse on my platform. So at the end of the day, that was put to rest then, and I will put it to bread one more time here on this platform, that CCW will always have a place because this company has gone above and beyond the means for anybody that has walked through this company and wanted a chance. And this is why this man is in this Hall of Fame. And I could not think of a better person on the day that Sportswire Radio was born, on our 5-year anniversary, 5 years ago to this day, that James Barrass would be the person to be inducted in our Hall of Fame. Let me get to a ton of comments here. What the fans wish the fans would support the true heroes of this company and see through the silly face, paint lies, all you've done, sir, and the fans, and they don't show you the respect. So you and Hybrid, I don't know if Hybrid's trying an angle there, but it seems like he's speaking some truth. We'll have to find out. I'll get to that. Just dye your hair or beard or spike it up, wear face paint, steal people's moments, and never retire. I think he's talking about Dustin Hart there, right? That pretty good bet there, right, Dustin Hart? Sounds like
Yeah,
Dustin Hart, right? Even
it
I can
sounds
see.
like Justin Hart.
Yep, that sounds like that.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jules, for the kind words. I appreciate that. Want to say hello to Mr. Brad Coleman. Brad's going to be back here next Friday in the same
thank you very
chair.
much. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. I'm going to see you, Brad. Looking forward to seeing you for the first time in about, I think, about 9 months. So I look forward to seeing you Friday at about 8:30 p.m. British Standard Time. Yes, congratulations on all that. So okay, so we're gonna come back to the current events in a second, but I want to give you the floor. Is there anything else that you want to say on behalf of CCW that's led you to the Hall of Fame? Is there any other thoughts you have on that before I do get to the current events?
Yeah, I think obviously when you hit the nail on the head, 2020, I had this vision. When I had the vision, we went into a pandemic, and but that kind of didn't stop the drive. It didn't stop the ideas, and it didn't stop what we wanted to do. I would definitely say 4 years ago, looking 4 years to now, we've built up so much. We have 3 rings. We have 3 promotions of CCW to cater for everyone, the Pride community, the over 18s that like more of the hardcore stuff, and then we have our family show. We have built up with the community of with Seaham, and the surrounding areas, and getting people involved and with training, and we've just built up something really fantastic and really great to see people loving the product and loving what we do. And what I've always told people when they come to training is it's not just about you training to be a wrestler, but to train to have respect for your community, what you can do to help back in your community. Just these different skills, because at the end of the day, we live in this community. We should do things for the community as well. And it's great because a lot of the people, like most of them, do this, and you see a difference in these people when they come out to help. I'm on the phone, right, we need this help, right, we all jump together and we're there like a band of merry men. We go and help this problem, we go and take care of business, we're helping these different people, different charities and stuff like that. And it's absolutely fantastic to see that everyone is on this wavelength. It's the same as me, and they are there to help. It's not just about jumping in the ring, what moves you can do. It's about representing yourself as something more and greater than a wrestler, but something for the community as well. So sometimes I wake up and I'm like, is this all a dream? Is this real? And you see the amount of support, you see the people in the inbox and the people that love this product, and you're just like,
Davey Blaze loves this product. To me, that's the biggest
yes,
endorsement you can get.
yes,
Davey Blaze. Let me repeat.
yes.
Davey Blaze likes this product.
Johnny Storm likes CCW as well.
That's another good one. We've had
Yes,
Johnny in the past. I mean,
yes, Johnny Storm loves it here.
and we're working with
Absolutely
Alpha
loves it.
Championship Wrestling. We're working with
Yes,
Arcadian Championship Wrestling.
yes,
These are places that see CCW and see it as a place where we can work together and bring the biggest stars. Bring the matches that the people want to see. Bring original matches, not reruns that you've seen over and over and over again. bringing
Yeah,
the people what they want. And I think that that's what CCW is all about. Look at what we did with Coming Out Championship Wrestling. What a great job by Taylor Truth. Let's
yeah.
give it up for Taylor
hmm
Truth. Taylor did a
Well done,
phenomenal
Taylor.
job
Well done.
showcasing the community there that
Yeah,
hasn't really been as recognized in the LGBT community, to have the opportunity to go out there and root for people and support people. He's doing a great job with that. He's got
yeah.
another show coming up
And, and,
May the
and
1st.
and I do. I'll give him a bit extra support and a little bit more of a, call it a big head moment. But it's still to this day, even with the Pride community, it's still kind of a lot of people still shun it and go, "Oh, that's weird. That's not right. That's not normal. That's not this." So for someone like Taylor to take on this challenge, to take on this responsibility, and to keep going no matter what the weather, the storm that comes back at him, and because I know that he did tell us a story when he was out postering, he did get heckled by people and some people. So, hats off to Taylor. He's stuck by the guns. He's stuck to the game and to the plan, and he did really well. He did really well. So I will give him that, because at the end of the day, I think we're going through this transition period of this acceptance, and a lot of people will still be out there that'll be like, that is weird. But obviously, what we're trying to show is, look, we are who we are. At the end of the day,
That's
we
it.
are who
That's
we
it. At
are.
the end of the day, it's
That,
about all
yeah,
wrestling that matters, and
yeah,
they're
yeah,
providing
I
an
totally
outlet for
agree.
people. Yep,
So
and
I
that's
do
why we
think,
support it. Yep.
I do think Taylor, he stood his ground. He's done the best that he can, and he's coming up with some fantastic ideas, and he's going to do great. So,
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. We look forward to having him come back
yes,
on the show before that. And we want to thank him. What an honor it was to have him back on Sportswire after over a year. And certainly Ronnie's coming on tomorrow. I have a lot to talk about that. But let me get to some thoughts here before we move on to the current events. Also, I'm a prime example of CCW welcoming people. I'd say if you give CCW a chance, they will give you a chance. I could
yeah.
not agree more. And that's why we always support CCW. And you want to support CCW, there's a number of
See,
different
I
ways
look at
to do it.
CCW is we've
Mhm.
always wanted to be the platform to help people out if wherever they went, they weren't, getting booked, they were overlooked. It was the same names, it was the same matches. We want to see what people can do and what we can get the best out of them, because
Absolutely.
everyone's got, you know what I mean. So if we had people come here and then they shined and they went big, and it's like, this is the place where they crafted the art.
CCW is where the
And
big boys play.
yeah,
CCW is the place to be. CCW is the place that if you want to show that you're going to be a big talent, CCW, if you want to go out there and show what you can do for a whole wide audience, this is where you need to be. If you haven't made in CCW, you're not going to make it anywhere else, in my opinion, because it's sellout after sellout. It's 41 shows now, 41 sellouts. CCW crowds, there's nobody that has a fan base like the CCW base. 5,000 members on Facebook, just about. Coming Out Championship Wrestling's got several hundred members on the Carnage Championship Wrestling pages. That shows you the devotion that the CCW fans have to this product. And it shows you, look at CCW's brand. Every day there's videos from stars. Every day there's something new in CCW. The storylines you can follow. There's no independent wrestling company out there that has storylines and continues to update its storylines on a day-in-and-day basis like CCW. That's why CCW is where it is, and that's why CCW in a year from now is going to be even bigger. 2 years from now, it's going to be even bigger, and the sky is the limit, and that's why we're going to keep pushing on here with CCW. Yes, we're going to definitely agree that you're going to agree with that comment, because that comment's for you, Mr. Barrass.
thank
Definitely
you.
for you. So,
Love you.
uh, you can say that. I'm looking forward to Mr. Coleman's return. He's got a lot to say, and I hope you can top what Mr. Carnage had to say on Tuesday's show. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm looking forward to it. I always had good, lively discussions with Brad. We always had good conversations, and I think it'll be no different on Friday's show next Friday. That'll be February the 2nd. The CCW community is so loyal. They welcomed me instantly with open arms. I love the roster, the fans, the events always sell out. Amen to all of that. So many companies do the constant reruns of matches just on different shows. Yeah, exactly. It's so boring. I mean, seriously, you say nothing on this. This is your moment. We're going to get to current events. I want you to say nothing right here. But there are certain, it's the same match. It's the same storyline, the same chance. You're insulting the fans' intelligence. You're dumbing down your audience because you're trying to do a certain thing to work with only a certain amount of people because that's what you want, but that's not what the people want. That's not what social media wants. That's not what the wrestling community wants as a whole. Look at WWE, for example. WWE is in a boom period because they're actually doing things now that their fans want. And that's what it always should be about. It's not about my opinion. It's not about Mr. Barrass's opinion. It's about the fans. The fans are the reason that we're here. The fans are the reason why Sportswire has grown. The fans are the reason why CCW has thrived for not one, not two, but three companies. CCW's fans are the reason why we get to talk about all these shows and why we've had 41 sellouts and why we've got another big show on Saturday, another big show with Carnage Wrestling on February 10th and Miners Mania, and the likes of Davey Blaze being here, Johnny Storm in the past. How about our relationship with Alba and Arcadian? Those are the reasons that we're here. It's not about individuals who want to basically monopolize. It's about the people. And that's why CCW is the place to be. And that's why CCW, everybody should go follow all those different ways. Because if you're not, you're missing out. And I promise you, you're going to be left out in the cold. That's for sure. I want to get to some more comments. Without James, my dream of being involved in wrestling would still be a dream. Congratulations, James. Much deserved, bro. Yep, absolutely no question about that. Agree with the comment. Look at the variety of names in this upcoming Rumble at CCW. It's going to be the best Rumble CCW's had to have. Absolutely. I mean, look at the list of names that we have in this Rumble. We've got Hybrid. We've got Jam Dog. We've got the Tribal Cheese. I mean, you're going to have one Thatcher. We don't know which Thatcher yet. Maybe we'll ask Ronnie that tomorrow. I mean, you've got tons of stars that are going to be in this Rumble. I mean, you just and there's names we don't even know of yet. I mean, that tells you the depth that we have in this roster. It's not 8 guys, not 9 guys in the Rumble. I mean, who knows? I mean, it just shows to you that Rico Justice, give him a big shout. They got Rico Justice in this Rumble. He's come on. He's been a homegrown star that's been grown here in CCW over the past 6 months. Walker Wall Street is back. I mean, you've got so many different people. Alfie Nerd. I mean, we're going to get to Alfie. We're going to get to him. So the points are that, we have a lot of stars in this Rumble, and I can't wait to talk about it here in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. I want to say hello to my buddy Skulls. Big fan of yours out in California. Skulls is also going to be in a Hall of Fame next month. He says, congratulations, Mr. Barrass. Skulls, the Soul Hunter. This year will be the best CCW has ever had, and we shall only continue to thrive. Our voices shall be heard across the entire world. But you know what? As the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce, you better believe that CCW's voice has been heard around the world because I'm an American guy from New York with as New York of an accent as it gets, and I'm speaking to the great people across the world in CCW, like the likes of James Barrass, like the likes tomorrow of the gentleman Thug Ronnie Thatcher, Jam Dog a few weeks ago, Walker's come on here so many times, DJ B who came on here last month. I mean, we've got Hybrid who's come on here many times, Taylor Truth, the Tribal Cheese, can never forget about the Tribal Cheese. I mean, the list goes on of big time stars. Rico Justice has been on here. I mean, you can go up and down the list of superstars in this company. Prince Dagan, got to give Dagan a big shout out. He's our champion. He was here last Thursday.
Has Back Picture never been on?
No, he hasn't, but, never say never. Never say never. I would say never say never, but my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, and we are here on Sportswire Radio, inducting the 24th member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, Mr. James Barrass. Mr. Barrass is, quote-unquote, the owner of Cutlery Championship Wrestling. I'm going to tell you why, quote-unquote, in a few minutes. But if you like what you hear from us here on Sportswire Radio, and you tuned in here for the first time, I know you haven't, though, at this point, give us a like and follow in a number of different ways. First of all, subscribe to our YouTube page. It's Sportswire Radio 6579 Backspace Streams. We're just about at 500 subscribers, so I'm about 12 or 13 away. So go out and subscribe and like the page. We're getting close to a number of different thresholds, and I would really be humbled if you give me a follow and tell your friends to support us. Also on our Tumblr blog. We have a blog here where we write about different people coming on the platform and giving them that little sign of respect and endorsement. Tumblr at Sportswire Radio. Also, we have an internet radio station. If you have a podcast out there, if you want to play live music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I program that on behalf of the community free of charge. If you'd like to be a DJ, if you'd like to hear your podcast heard around the world, I take care of all of that for you. That's at sportswireradio.org. And also, I'll be back here with more coverage upcoming tomorrow night, 8 o'clock British Standard Time. He's going to be here live, flesh in the wound, for the first time in over several months. The Gentleman Thug, Ronnie Thatcher, returns live, 8 o'clock British Standard Time. It's going to be one for the ages. He's the last guy to come on before Friday's Fighter Strike 3 Rumble. He's going to talk about if he's going to be in the Rumble. He's going to talk about his match with his brother Reggie Thatcher against the Pandemic Priest. And they were having fun with that, basically taking shots at Dagan. They were taking shots at you, Mr. Barrass. And Ronnie Thatcher's going to talk about all of that. He is the last person we speak with before Fighter Strike 3. I promise you that will be one for the age. And if you want to get involved and support, if you have a ticket on Saturday's show and you want to donate, Mercy's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Mercy's. Thank you, Mercy, for all your fight and everything that you've done to inspire us to continue to keep going. And we want to make sure, if you have a chance, at the end of the show, we'll make sure we get details for people to how they can go out and support and donate still. And you can also show up. Again, reminder, West Grove, Seaham, SR78EL. That's going to be
I'm at the venue now, Rev. I'm at the venue now.
Oh, that's right. You venue. Okay. Excellent. Yep, there we go. We'll take that off the screen. But we are here with Mr. James Barrass. I'm going to get to a couple of different things here in a minute, but I want to say I would love to listen to you, wise gentlemen, shoot ideas for a dream CCW match card. I'm going to get to that, but Mr. Barrass, it may not be that person to actually be able to help you with that. But some may be surprised. I'm here praising James. No secret of our history, but soon as the clock hit midnight on New Year's, I decided let 2023 issues stay in 2023. 2024 is a new year, and I'm a new man. You know what? I'm looking forward to Brad next Friday. Brad's getting me fired up. Brad, I tell you what, you're going to have some tough shoes to fill, Brad, because we had Mr. Carnage on Tuesday's show. He said a mouthful. Say nothing on that. Yesterday, we had the tribal cheese on it, and he said a lot, which you're going to have to respond on some of those things. You're here. Ronnie's here Friday. I mean, Brad, you have been one of the more memorable guests in our history. You are Mr. Sportswire after all, but you're going to certainly have some big shoes to fill these next couple of days. And Saturday, I've got a guy that has 80,000 subscribers on YouTube, Mr. DVG. He's coming on here, actually Sunday night, to be inducted into our Hall of Fame. I mean, a lot of big shows ahead coming up. So, I'll say stay tuned, but Mr. Barrass, James Barrass, obviously a lot of people have been hinting, and I'm sure you're aware of it now, that, you're not this I run everything in CCW guy anymore. You're not this only boss of CCW. As a matter of fact, somebody before we went on the air, was trying to spoil the festivities here, but we wanted to make sure that they wouldn't ruin the festivities on your behalf, sir, wanted me to actually show you something for the audience, especially Sportswire fans. I know that some CCW fans and personnel have probably seen this particular thing, but we here on Sportswire actually have not got a chance to see this. So I was wondering, sir, if you'd like us to play a little bit of this, because it might certainly be pertaining to you and your quote-unquote position in Colory Championship Wrestling.
Well, just play it, and we'll go from there afterwards.
Are you sure? Because I'm going to have to do it. Because this person specifically asked me, in a respectful manner. I said, Mr. Bryce, I know it's a big day on Sportswire, but we'd like for you to show something on behalf of your supporters, your audience, in regards to CCW. Obviously, we're big fans, devoted fans of this platform, and I have to show this video because, somebody personally asked us to do it, and I would think that, you might want to see it. I don't know how you'll feel about it.
Well, I'm intrigued to see what's...
Well, I'm going to get your reactions to after this, and I don't know how you're going to feel, but let's play it.
Okay.
I am the voice of the colliery.
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 I am the voice of the colliery. You see, James, the change has already started to take effect. The members of the CCW locker room, understanding what it truly is I am doing, they understand that my identity means nothing when there are greater things at play. Things that will see improvement beyond even your capabilities, Barrass. It started with the reinstatement of Dustin Hart, a man you have spent far too long trying to destroy. But what you have destroyed, James, I will be there to rebuild. If you still insist on doubting that I am indeed now the general manager of Colliery Championship Wrestling, and that I really am watching and listening to everything you do, then I shall prove it. This Saturday, at Fight or Strike 3, I will do something only somebody in my position could possibly do. I'll see you, James, but you won't see me.
God.
Rain down, let it rain on me. Wash off all the misery. Skyfall, let it rain on me.
And just in the interest of my Wi-Fi band, we're gonna take that video off the screen there, Mr. Barrass. So we're gonna bring you back up on the big screen, and obviously a lot to digest there, and certainly, at least I can tell you, sir, I can confirm with certainty I'm not the voice of the colliery, but there was a lot of people there that said they're the voice of the colliery. But the main thing I got there, sir, is that you've been battling with Dustin Hart as long as I've known you. You've been coming on Sportzwire along with the company for the better part of 2+ years. And Dustin Hart now is officially a member once again of the CCW roster. I'll ask you your thoughts about that in a second, but this voice of the colliery seems like they're looking to make an example of you, sir, Saturday. What's your reactions?
My reactions is someone is playing the biggest prank since the Chuckle Crew arrived in CCW. Somebody is having my life. I don't know who it is, but I think they're in it together just to, what's the word? Spark the fire, to see me crumble, to kick off, to lose my mind, to vent off. Don't know whether I'm coming or going, and to see me fall on the floor. That's what I think they're doing. I don't know if it's McGregor behind it, Taylor, Cheese, Rico. I don't know who it is. I really don't know who it is. I've been trying to search. I've been trying to ask. I've been trying to find out who the voice of the colliery is. They all have in my life. Reinstating Dustin Hart. On what grounds? On what powers.
Well, let
I
me
have
ask
the
you a
powers.
question on that. That's an interesting point because I've known you a while. You've been coming on the show, and Dustin's been here many times. And it's been over 2 years that the company has come on Sportswire, and I don't think Dustin has ever officially worked for the company in that form. Do you think, let's say, if you handled this situation a year ago, let's say, or even 6 months ago, you just gave into Dustin and just gave him his contract back in CCW, maybe that you could have avoided this potential situation you might be staring at come Saturday, sir? Is that a possibility? I mean, would you want to
Well,
comment
the
on that?
possibility that Dustin doesn't deserve a contract, maybe on the grounds is that he's a weak old man that thrives of just walking through the curtain to hear all these idiots in the room cheer for him. That's all he thrives off, because once he gets in the ring, he keeps losing and losing and losing, getting injured, getting injured, getting injured. And what good is that for CCW? I tried to have his interests at best, because I fired him and I told him to his face before he hit the DQ on me. I told you, Dustin, that you should just walk off in the sunset and enjoy your time with your girlfriend and your dogs and live the rest of your life injury-free, CCW-free.
That
But guess
sounds
what?
personal, though. You brought up his dogs, the girlfriend. That's a lot of information you just shared with our audience there, Mr. Barrass. It seems like that does personal cloud business judgment, because conversely, could some say that Dustin, the fans love him? Dustin has been an identifiable CCW original since the beginning, and that he should always have forever a spot in CCW. Could some maybe make that argument, sir?
Dustin, yes, is an original. Dustin, does he think he's better than everyone? Yes. Is he? No. Dustin, if you're listening and you're watching, you can have your reinstated contract, whatever, for one match, because once Adrian Black is done with you, and yet you brought the coffin into it, so now it's a coffin match, he is going to put you to rest. Not just any rest, but your final rest, Dustin. And that isn't on me, that is on you.
So you have no regrets about anything if Saturday you're staring at
I have regrets, and my biggest regret is to ever go out my way to look for Dustin. I remember when he battled Sean Duffy, Mr. Carnage, on the Blast Beach, and I remembered he disappeared. He didn't disappear. Once Sean Duffy got out of the way, I was around the corner there, and I rescued Dustin. And you know what? I should have let his lifeless body just drift away like driftwood into the sea, because all he has ever done is bounce back and disrespect me, not even said thank you to me for saving his goddamn life. Now, Dustin, I ain't going to be there to save your life on Saturday. I was once there to help you, but no more.
Now, if I could, Mr. Barrass, I have a lot of comments, and many of them come from the voice of the Colory person, the general manager. Now, I could play those comments if you'd like, sir, and tell you what the voice of the Colory.
I'll tell you what, yes, go ahead, because then I can read what they're going to say, and then maybe it might help me figure out who the hell this voice of the Colory is by certain words they may use.
Do that. I'm going to run everybody's comments in order here first. I want to say here, also, let's get to Mr. OK. Is Mr. OK in the Rumble? I think the voice of the Colory may address that. Brad Coleman says he's a new man, new name, but that doesn't mean the shooting arm ain't got some ammo left. Well, I hope that next Friday that we find out. Thank you for the comment. I wanted to play that before I get to business here. It is an honor to be the new general manager for Colory Championship Wrestling. James, I know you're upset, but please don't be. You will see, like the others, this was the best thing for CCW. First, on that comment, what would you like to say? Because I have a lot more comments. What would you like to say?
Who in the hell, who the hell came to you in the first place and said, look, we want to make you or appoint you as GM? I've been running the ship perfectly fine at CCW. Now, this is why I know to wind up. Look, if we weren't drawn, if we weren't bringing people in, if we weren't doing sellouts, and we were on our arses, then I'd understand that.
I would agree with you on that, but could you make the case, let's say, now I'm not in the locker room, but we mentioned a lot of names that are upset with you. Rico Justice. We certainly brought up Tribal Cheese, Walker, Dustin, Spawn's upset with you, Jam Dog upset with you, Thatcher. Would you say though,
they're not
possibly
upset. They're not upset with me. They envy me. They are jealous of me. Envy is another word for
if I
jealous.
were to
I'll
say though
educate
that
them.
a lot now, I understand. But if the majority of the locker room does not have your back or you don't have that vote of confidence, what do you think about that? Because a lot of people, I would say the majority of the locker room right now doesn't really seem like they see eye to eye with you. And I think that's a telling statement, don't you think?
Rico Justice probably and most likely doesn't like me because I didn't just beat him just once. I beat him twice. And I humiliated his son that came all the way from Leeds that couldn't even count.
I had him on. In fact, I remember because I had him on the show after you beat him. I remember it very well. That was 4 months ago.
Wall Street probably doesn't like me because I told the truth. See, the thing with me is I shoot straight from the hip, and people look and go, he tells the truth. I do not like him. And I think some of my roster members might be a little bit uptight and going, our boss likes to tell the truth a bit too much than what he should do. We don't like him. You don't have to like me. I pay you. You work for me. Simple as that.
But if I were to tell, now I understand this, and trust me, you're in my Hall of Fame, so I'm doing my best as I can to kind of walk the tightrope, quote unquote, here with this. But if your locker room, let's say, wants to revolt, they revolt. What would happen then?
You don't have to stay at CCW. They can walk off in the sunset where they think the grass is green on the other side.
We know that there were individuals that have, and they're basically like dust. They're irrelevant, but that's here nor there. I mean, certainly individuals have chosen to walk, and basically
these individuals can come to me privately, come to my office, we'll have a chat. They can happily express themselves how they feel. They can talk to me saying, look, James, I don't want them to call me boss or Mr. Barrass. I'm a down-to-earth guy. They can call me James. Look, there's stuff we don't agree with, blah, 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 and we can work things out. I'm not a hard person to approach or to talk to.
I understand those things, and I'm going to let the voice of the colory say a few more things. We are the voice of the colory. Do you understand yet, James? It's all connected. No pranks, no games, just truth, James, just truth. The board, let me get to this, though, for you, sir. The board of directors made me general manager, James, and if that came all the powers of hiring anybody I see fit. I do not need a reason to reinstate him, but if you need one, here it is. He is the heart of he is the heart and the heritage. Need I say more? He is the heart and the heritage.
Okay, if that's the best you've got, the voice of the colliery, then so be it. Come back and you talk to me when you can think a lot better than that, because I do not take that. I do not accept that. He's always said he's the heart of the heritage. That's all he's got. I'm the goddamn heart of the heritage, blah, blah, blah. That's his get out of jail card line every time.
But don't you think that that's kind of an ode to the history of CCW and the colory, and that's kind of telling you something about what do we always say about CCW and the community? That says that the community might be against you here in this.
Yeah, the guy that takes care of the community, the guy that helps the community, the guy that raises money for the community. You all want to turn your back on me. You all want to shun me to the corner. You all want to appoint a new GM. I don't care about all of that. I know my position. I know my powers in CCW. I know the good that I do. I also know the bad that I do sometimes as well. But the bad is sometimes giving the kicks up the arses that need it. It's called tough love.
Let me ask you a question. We're here with James Barrass, the man who was inducted in, and is the 24th member in our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, who has been removed of power now from this voice of the colory, and we're kind of diving into
it's accusations, Reverend. It's accusations. It's assumptions.
Okay,
it's not.
So I'm going to ask you what we saw in that video before. We saw a number of people from the locker room. We even saw the likes of McGregor. We saw Taylor in there. We certainly saw people like the Tribal Cheese, Walker. We saw Rico Justice. We saw Jam Dog. We saw Dustin, who we know has been reinstated. There was a lot of names in that locker.
Where was Dagon? Where was Adrian Black? Where was Davey Blaze? Where was all the big guys? Where was Johnny Storm? Where was Hybrid?
Dagan, to be fair, he commented on Thatcher's show that he wasn't a fan of this voice of the color. I got that. Dagan definitely made his point clear. He made his point clear. He made it loud and clear. And we spoke with Dagan last week. So Dagan right now, but he's not concerned about this voice of the colory. He's worried about his own offspring, Saturday, who was here and said a few things about you. So Dagan right now, and he's the champion. He doesn't have to focus on this. It's not his. He's got his own things to worry about. He's the tag team champion and the world underground champion. He's the greatest underground champion we've ever had in this company. He's the most dominant, lethal, and just overall just dominant champion this company's ever had. I got all that, but there was many people, too many people in the locker room that were a part of that video. That has to be troubling.
I tell you what, I've got a question for this so-called voice of the colliery.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, voice of the colliery. You're watching, you're listening. What now for me then? Let's make some accusations up. What now for me? What's my position? Where does everything leave the CEO of CCW? Me, James Barrass. So what do I do now?
I'm going to tell you what they have to say on that. It's a great question because the community did not appoint me. The board did because of your bad actions, as you have just admitted yourself.
I'm not even going to answer that. I am waiting. Voice of the colliery, whoever you are, my bad actions. Really? My bad actions? What bad actions? Explain yourself. Please.
Do you have any regrets over the past few years with Top Tier? Any regrets?
Any regrets? Yeah, I recruited some wrong people.
Well, that we know, but they're gone. Listen, they're history. They're irrelevant. Anything in particular in the last few months that you might regret? Don't focus on 2 years ago. Don't focus on a year ago. Anything in the past few months in particular that you think led to the decision that we've seen here come down, where it's led to this voice of the colliery?
I think all my decisions are correctly advised by myself and executed by myself, Reverend.
Okay, so let me ask you a follow-up to that. There's this match that Jam Dog's a part of with somebody that's top tier, Alfie Nerds. Alfie Nerds has gone out of his way, and he said, I want another crack at Jam Dog. He keeps coming at him, and, Jam Dog has talked about all these plans. This April is his 20th anniversary in this sport. He's never been a world champion. He's got...
And he never will be.
And that's
Spoiler
why I wanted
alert.
to ask you, to ask you that everything that's happening with you and how does this impact your protege, Alfie Nerds?
Alfie Nerds is very young and he's very talented, and he's got balls bigger than Jam Dog. He is hung in there with Jam Dog. Yes, he fell short and you won, but this time I believe in everything that Nerds is going to be delivering in that match. Everything. Because at the end of the day, he's going to ruin all your hopes and dreams. He's going to take that Carnage title away from you, and he's going to send you packing back to Scotland, and you're going to hide in your room. You're just going to be curling up in a ball, and you are going to be, what's the word called? I'm trying to think of the best word. You're going to be regretting everything you said towards me and Nerds, because at the end of the day, you dream of what? Being a world heavyweight champion? Well, I'm sorry, but I'll tell you the end of the story. Jam Dog doesn't or never becomes a world heavyweight champion, because Jam Dog is just a big clown. That's all you are, is a big clown, but you're going against Nerds. Right? Yes, he is a nerd. He is young, but I tell you what, he will run laps around you and he will make you tired. And you know what? You're that tired, you might as well just lie down, take the pin. He takes the title. See you later, Jam.
And maybe, so what you're telling us is that maybe if Mr. Nerds gets his way, that Mr. Dog won't even make it into the Rumble. That what you're telling me right now?
Exactly. No. Do you want to know something I've heard by a little Dicky Bird, that the Rumble's going first? Jam Dog can have his little moment, and he wants to enter this Rumble. But you know what it is? Enter the Rumble and then enter your match. You might as well see this as a retirement match. You might as well call this your retirement match.
So wait a minute. Are you telling us, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio and CCW fans, before I get to more comments, that this is going to be Jam Dog's retirement party, or maybe it's going to be his retirement?
Well, we like to think that everyone makes assumptions that they're the voice of the colliery. Well, I think the CEO, the original and the only boss of CCW, will make assumptions and accusations, or whatever you want to call them, that Nerds is going to have a match with you, which will be your retirement match. And you will go back to Scotland, up the Highlands, wherever you're from, Glasgow, and we will never hear from you again.
Okay, but have you tried to motivate Alfie after a few things he said in the past week? Have you been trying to motivate him, sir?
Alfie Nerds is always motivated by me behind the scenes, and he's always motivated by himself as well.
Motivated now because you're basically out of power now. I mean, you certainly
no, assuming I'm out of power, accusations I'm out of power.
Okay,
there's still people on the roster, member, that will listen to me. Like tonight, who do you think's been buying me? Who do you think's been going to the bar?
Listen, Hybrid has been with you tonight. Hybrid has shown that he's been with you. I agree. I don't know if anyone else in the roster tonight in this particular interview has shown that. I mean, Dagan, again, we spoke about Dagan and Black, but they're in their own world. I mean,
Julius Caesar was a man, the top of everything, and all these own people turned on him and knifed him in the back. And this is exactly the same treatment as I am getting right now in the 21st century. I am the Julius Caesar in CCW, and my own guys, my own roster is knifing me in the back, and I don't know why.
Now, again, I'm not intelligent on many things, as people can clearly tell, but are you telling us in a way that like Julius Caesar, where Rome eventually was burning, that CCW would be burning if you're out of power, assuming from what you say this is accurate, sir? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It's not what I say. Apparently, it's what the voice of the colliery is saying, that CCW needs a new leader, is crumbling. I don't see that. But apparently, and accusations are made that they see that.
Okay, well, I have a lot of comments here. Let me try to get to them here. And the news here is that James Barrass has been removed, quote unquote, in his position of power in CCW. Saturday, this voice of the colliery is going to reveal who they might be. So you might want to stay tuned and buy a ticket to Saturday's show, because we don't know who this could be. I mean, it could be a woman also. By the way, we saw, I think Amy was in there as well. I mean, we saw a number of different people, even from announcers, could be the Taylor. I mean, there's a lot of people, could be anybody. We have no idea. Listen, the voice of the colliery, I mean, who knows who could it be? I mean, it could be even anybody in the wrestling world. This could be Mr. Barrass. It could be a she. It could be somebody outside the company, somebody you've never met. I mean, we have no idea. I am all of them. I am neither of all of them. It's all connected. Brad Coleman says, say nothing on this. And I'm sure he regrets booking a certain snowflake. Well, yeah. I'm sure that one he regrets. I'm sure, as most people that are fans of Sportswire, say nothing on this, regretted seeing him on our platform for 2 years. But I don't think that that's something Mr. Barrass is going to focus on, because that person is kind of like a snowflake. It's like a small, tiny little particle that dissolves after a few seconds, kind of like his quote-unquote company that could certainly not cut the mustard, unlike CCW, where the big boys play. But let's move on from that, because certainly, Mr. Barrass, you're a Hall of Famer now, and you're in the stratosphere in Mount Rushmore, while that person, well, again, dissolved. James, your position is now to get in that ring and do what you will be paid to do. wrestle. You claim to be top tier. Now you have the time to prove it. Now, sir, what do you think that means? Could that potentially mean anything? Could that mean, oh, I don't know, that Rumble coming up at Cullery's Rumble Fighter Strike 3? I mean, could that what be mean? Do you have a match plan? Do you have your ring gear with you by any chance for Saturday's show? I mean, what could that all mean, you think?
Well, it's no secret that the last 3 matches that I've had in CCW, I have been victorious. I've beaten Rico twice. I have also beaten Dustin Hart at Carnage Championship Wrestling. But I tell you what, who is that other idiot in yellow that likes to run his mouth? I'm coming after top tier. Cheesy?
Oh, yes,
Big
Mr.
Cheese Logan.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully he's still watching. But
Yeah.
there he is. Yeah. Big Cheese Logan, I remembered what you did to me last time. I was the rightful winner of that Rumble.
He said a few things about you last night.
Yes.
He talked about the fact that, he wanted to go after top tier. He talked about, going after you. I mean, how did that make you feel that the Tribal Cheese, the chair of the table, the chair of the CCW table, some would say that he seemed like he was going after you and everything that, you've built with this group top tier. I mean, how does that make you feel, sir?
Yeah, always go after someone that's a threat because he fears me.
Why do you think
I know he does.
Why do you think he fears
Well, he's got the whole crowd by the palm of his hands. And I also have the crowd at the palm of my hands as well. Whether they cheer or boo me, I've got the crowd right there, Reverend, right there. The same as the Big Cheese Logan.
Are you envious of his following?
Am I envious? No, but I think he might be about me because
Do you
at the
think
end of the
he's
day,
envious of your position of power and that you have been the most powerful owner in this sport, in this country right now? You have been the most successful promoter. The facts would show that you have been the most successful promoter. 41 shows, 41 sellouts, 3 companies. You've got community involvement. You've got people that you've given opportunities to that would never have gotten opportunities. You've got some of the biggest stars in this sport who are CC dub people. I mean, you think maybe he's envious of that power of the Tribal Cheese?
Well, some may say yes, some may say no. But what I will say, Cheesy, if you're watching, is that you pretend to like me. You pretend to be on my good side because you're a worm. You're worming your way in very slowly, and I see what you're doing.
That's a very serious allegation there.
It is. He's worming them. He's worming.
You think he's trying to corrupt the locker room? Are you telling us that he's trying to corrupt the locker room to almost have had this revolt against you these past few months?
To be honest, it wouldn't even. It might even be him that's the voice of the colliery, because at the end of the day, Cheese, you're a man of the people, and this voice of the colliery is trying to be a voice of the people. Put 2 and 2 together, voila! I believe, in my assumptions, it's the Big Cheese Logan that is the voice of the colliery. There you go.
Are you losing sleep at night over these past several days? Has this certainly troubled you at home? Is this certainly... I know you're a busy man. You're a businessman. I know that obviously you have a lot on your plate. But, you seem troubled. The first half of the show, it was, everybody was, certainly coronating you, congratulating you. There was a feeling of good cheer and love. And
then the voice of the colliery came on and changed the whole dynamic and the whole direction of the show, which this show was about me becoming a Hall of Famer and celebrating. Then the voice of the colliery liked to play the video and then comment. So someone is winding me up.
I mean, Mr. Barrass, they asked us to play the video. Again, and my position officially is I can tell you, sir, I am not the voice of the colliery. I can tell you that I would not want to get in the middle of the locker room because we've honored everybody in the locker room on CCW. It is CCW month on Sportswire, so I'm not going to certainly be like other people and try to, pick and certainly choose and try to influence their own opinions. But obviously, there are people out there that don't seem to be happy with the way things are being run in CCW. And I have lots of comments. And the Tribal Cheese is still here. And then, speaking of Mr. Truths, he says the Hall of Shame for you now. You're in the Hall of Shame right now.
And after the good things I was saying about Lord Taylor earlier on, The nice things I was saying, and this is how I get treated. I am very misunderstood, Reverend.
Oh, that
I'm
we
very
know. Listen, we know that, certainly individuals have said things and individuals have tried to certainly play in an alternate reality. I got all that, but they're irrelevant. They're like snowflakes. They dissolve after they touch the ground, which they pretty much do after any time they leave CCW. But the point is that guy after guy has come on here tonight and said something. I don't know if it's distrust. I don't know if it's unhappiness. I mean, are you worried about Saturday's show and entering in the building and all of a sudden you could be going into a hostile environment? I mean, I know you hear Bobblehead Barrass all the time, but this seems to be magnified times 10 about Bobblehead Barrass.
I'm going to walk in this venue like I always do. I'm going to set everything up like I always do. I'm going to deliver like I always
Do
do.
you think anybody will help you with that ring on Saturday? You think anybody other than Alfie? I'm sure Alfie will be there with you side by side. Mr. Dagan ain't going to be setting up no ring. That's what I know. Mr. Dagan and Mr. Black, they only set up what they only want to do in their own rights, and they've got big matches. Obviously, we've got Spawn and Dagan and certainly Black and Hart. But do you expect anybody from the locker room, especially after what we've seen tonight, that will actually come early and try to help you with this ring other than Alfie? Could be a lonely morning out there to setting up there. It could take hours upon hours. You might have to get there tomorrow after Ronnie's show to set the ring up if there's going to be nobody to help you other than Alfie. I mean,
well, it's a good job the ring's already set up. Everything.
Oh.
I'm in the ring right now, Reverend.
Oh, wait. You're in the ring right now, Mr. Barrass.
I'm in the ring right now.
You're in the ring right now there, Mr. Barrass.
Yes.
In the ring right now. So, I mean, feeling good.
And where's the voice of the colliery? Where's anybody to stop me?
3 consecutive wins in a row. I mean, maybe, I guess, you know what? You think you're going to enter the Rumble? Maybe. You know what? Maybe you'll enter the Rumble. Wasn't it 25 years ago yesterday that a certain owner of another company entered a Rumble and he actually won the Rumble? So you know what? Everybody's been talking about, will the Tribal Cheese win it? Will Hybrid win it? Will Jam Dog win it? Will Rico Justice win it? What about if a Thatcher brother enters it? What about Mr. OK? What about Alpha Taker? What about if Walker enters it? You know what? Maybe since you're going to be competing according to this voice of the colliery, maybe you got something up your sleeve, and maybe you're going to win this Rumble, Mr. Barrass.
Well, if I had anything up my sleeve, that is for me and Top Tier to know, not for Sportswire. Sorry, I know I'm in the Hall of Fame.
And I would tell you, Mr. Barrass, at this point, it still is a special day for you. I don't want your day to be fully ruined, and I would also advise you very kindly, don't say anything that you'd rather regret or do not want to say. I agree with you on that 1,000%. But if the opportunity was there and you would be an in-ring competitor, I mean, there's no question that you're on a winning streak, and maybe I have to change who I picked as the favorite to win the Rumble.
Well, the last time CCW had a Rumble, Reverend, you're looking at the real winner before Big T's Logan
I'm
come
well
out.
aware of that. I mean, so you know what? At the end of the day, I might be missing something here. I have a lot more comments here because people still want to talk. He might be James. How can you truly know? Meaning Mr. Tribal Cheese. Taylor changes his mind, though. Hall of Fame for Barrass. You've been praising me. You have to go back at about, I think it's the 46-minute mark, and that's where Mr. Barrass and I praised you.
Yes, Lord Taylor, I was praising you to the high heavens. I was kind of literally kissing your backside, saying how good you're doing and how hard the job will actually be. But I take all that back.
Well, you know what? You'll have to watch the tape, Taylor, and go back. But the voice of the colliery has something else to say to you, sir. I could be in the very same room as you, James, and you would never know. Is there anyone behind you? Have you been watching your back today?
There's no one there, Reverend.
So, you think you're safe right now? Everything's okay. There's no voice of the colliery, no with monotone like voice and nothing like that. Everything's okay.
No one would have the balls, Reverend.
Why do you say that? Why do you think nobody would have the balls?
Because I'm the boss. Who would put the hands on the boss and be so stupid?
Are you saying that the voice of the colliery is no different than some certain keyboard warriors out there? Is that what you're telling us?
All I will say is the voice of the colliery is a very big coward because he hides behind the voice, but he doesn't show a face with the voice.
Well, I would think Saturday night we're going to find out there. Fighters.
I'll be there. I'll be watching.
I'm sure you're going to be there. You've already told us you're going to be there, so I would think. But you're not going there as a man of power. Are you going there with a ticket in your hand?
Really? There's no tickets left. There's no tickets left. Really?
I don't know. You know what? Maybe you have a certain way of doing it. I don't know. I'm just asking.
So the Reverend's implying that I now have to buy a ticket to my own show.
According to this voice of the colory, I mean, listen, I certainly recognize you. Obviously, you're in our Hall of Fame, but this voice of the colory is telling us there might be things that we're going to find out that certainly.
A quick question, Reverend.
Yes,
if someone came on and said they are the voice of Sportswire, and it's not Tom Bryce, and they were doing exactly the same what they're doing to me, to you, how would you respond? What would your actions be?
I think that right now, currently, there is probably a lot of people that would like to see me removed as the voice of Sportswire, maybe similar to you. Now, how I would react? Well, I would certainly look to find from my audience what I should be doing differently to change my ability or position to be removed, possibly. So I might want to ask my audience, like any good promoter, like any good businessman, on how to adapt to keep my audience happy and to keep my supporters happy. That might be the real nook and cranny of this voice of the colory. The voice.
So why doesn't the voice of the colory just called me, came, we could have went for a business meeting, business chat. You know, he could have been a director of CCW. We could have worked something out, worked together. If he has the CCW universe, his best interest, like I do, we could have worked together and we could have made more greatness out of CCW than what I've already created.
Now that I would agree with. There is no question that you have been an innovator. There is no question that you are one of the biggest geniuses of this sport. You are one of the top creative minds right now, and you are the top promoter. That's why you're the first pro wrestling owner and promoter in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I agree fully with all that, but I still have some more comments because people, they seem to really be flabbergasted by this whole situation and how you might be reacting. It's a mess backstage. James, please clean it up. Jam Dog wants you in that Rumble. That's what he says. But the voice of the colory says, you looked right at me and you still are blind. You are still blind. And also, they say, we have spoken many times already, James. Many, many times. You just don't know it yet. I told you, James, I'll prove it this Saturday at Fighter Strike 3. And Mr. Logan says, I hope Barrass is in that Rumble. 2, going to be a ass to get his head over that top rope, but it'll be achievable. He's implying about your head. He's being, discriminatory about your head there, sir.
And you've got the big cheese Logan saying, I've got a big head. Really? Really, Logan?
You think that, I mean, that's a shot there. You might be implying what, some keyboard warriors have been saying who don't have the guts or courage to kind of say that in Mr. Tribal Cheese's face, or, certain individuals that try to twist the reality. But that seems like some big words there from you, Mr. Barrass. I mean, are you sure you'd want to cross paths with him still? Are you sure you want to do that?
I'm not afraid of Big Cheese Logan. I'm sure a lot of people are afraid of Big Cheese Logan. He talks about my head being big. He's the guy with the biggest head walking around. You see all these videos that he's doing, trying to impress, trying to try too hard. You want to see that you're coming after top tier.
Are you saying that? Wait a minute. Are you saying that when he meets these famous people around the world and they know him, are you trying to?
He stalks them. He stalks them, Reverend.
Are you trying to imply what certain keyboard warriors that used to have names but couldn't have names, or certain other keyboard warriors that might have once upon a time you might have let have an opportunity to, grace CCW? You trying to say certain things that have been alleged? Is that what you're trying to tell us here? Because that sounds pretty personal there about the tribal chief, saying that, when he's met certain individuals and certainly had the opportunity to certainly, say hello to them and talk with them, that sounds like what keyboard warriors have been saying.
Well, I'm not a keyboard warrior, Reverend, but at the end of the day,
with me. I agree
he
with you
threw
on
me
that.
out of a rumble I already won and claimed he won it. So I'm a little bit sour. I'm a little bit sore on that one, Reverend. But Big Cheese Logan, if it were ever happening again, count your lucky stars that I threw you over just like that, because I will do damage if I got me full hands on you.
Mr. Barrass, maybe you could theoretically claim to the fact that you got in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame before the Tribal Cheese.
And that says everything. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, that's what we do here on Sportswire Radio. We've spoken many, many times. The voice of the colory has my full support. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate the support. Mr. Logan says, be like lifting an Atlas stone, getting that head over the top rope. I mean, that's some strong words there. But if you want to find out, though, what goes on in CCW before we get to final thoughts here and sign off for the evening, you can follow Colory Championship Wrestling in many different ways. And I would encourage that you do so. And if you haven't done so already, clearly your head does need to be examined. Colory Championship _wrestling on Instagram. Twitter at CCW UKNE caps locks. YouTube, CCW UK Northeast, caps locks up to the word N. Also, Facebook, Colory Championship Wrestling, CCW Coming Out Championship Wrestling, also Carnage Championship Wrestling. And we're going to be back here tomorrow night. And I'm going to be asking Ronnie Thatcher a lot of what he has to say about this, 8 o'clock on all Sportswire Radio platforms. So I have a feeling that this is going to be continued here. And also, by the way, I want to say hello, speaking to another promoter, another company. By the way, no, this is good for you, Mr. Barrass. They're actually saying hello to you, so don't worry. Before we sign off, I'm going to let them say hello. Our friends over in the IMF in the state of Iowa, kind of like you, Mr. Barrass, revolutionary, groundbreaking, certainly gets the best and brightest talent, the biggest names, where the big boys play in the Midwest. They're in a 400-seat venue on February the 17th in a King of the Ring style tournament. And also, they've talked about that they have a couple of guys in their company, 2 names in particular. Now, I don't know. I know you've booked some Americans in the past. You had Mitchell Taylor, King Taylor, who was on the platform here. But they've got 2 pretty big draws, to break the fourth wall for a second. And they're in the Hall of Fame with you. Omen Black, who calls himself the boogeyman of the Midwest. He's a hardcore god. He just took on a bunch of guys who called themselves hardcore and disposed of them to win his championship, knocked off a pro wrestler, pretty big name. And this guy, Soldier GP, who just beat, by the way, just real quick, beat a pro wrestler to retain his world championship that was trained by some guy, Seth Rollins. I know you're a CM Punk guy, so you're probably pretty happy about that. So, I was wondering if you were going to book some Americans, maybe you should get in touch with the IMF, the Iowa Midwest Federation Wrestling Company. They're also on YouTube. By the way, 1,700 subscribers on YouTube. Omen Black, Soldier GP, if you were going to book some guys from America, larger than life, Omen Black, Soldier GP, putting them in a ring with, the Tribal Cheese, Walker Wall Street, putting them in the ring with Dagan. A lot of possibilities there, sir.
Maybe it's something I'm going to have to look into. Maybe these Americans respect their promoter, respect their CEO. Maybe they'll come over, fly over the Atlantic, land in the UK, and deal with these idiots
and they
that have some problem with me.
Apparently, by the way, they're for hire. They're apparently this foundation for hire that, they'll go out there, since you are a promoter, if you're having problems with the Tribal Cheese, if you're having problems with Rico Justice and Jam Dog, and if you're having problems with Walker Wall Street, if you're having problems with Dustin Hart, these guys, they're for hire. They're for hire. You might want to consider that if you're having these problems.
Well, all I'm going to say is maybe it might take some outside talent to deal with the idiots within CCW. If they don't want to respect me, that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, I don't know what I've done wrong to these people. I've given them a platform.
They're on, I'm going to break the fourth wall. Omen Black, his Facebook is at Omen Black. And Soldier GP, his Facebook is at Gary Patrick. So you might want to have a conversation. Or for those two individuals, Mr. Black, since it is his show after all on Sportswire Radio, he's in your Hall of Fame alongside Mr. Soldier GP. They could maybe get in touch with you and message you on Facebook. Very simple, at James Barrass. So I'm just saying, apparently Mr. Black is here. He's actually arrived. And he said he's damn sure that he called out the tribal cheese. And he said that the foundation are always for hire, that he's available. He's available. So.
Not looking good now, is it, Cheesy?
And look at that man's face. Look at his face.
Exactly.
He's a big man. He's
a very big man.
He's got to be about 200 kilos. He's about 200 kilos, this man. Think about it. He's somewhere between 175 and 200 kilos. And he's hardcore. He goes through tables. He goes through ladders. He goes through chairs.
And he'll be going through cheese as well. Mark my words,
and if I'm
Logan.
not mistaken, doesn't things like thumbtacks, doesn't things like cheese graters, doesn't things like tables and other things, don't they cut down the size of cheese in half? Don't they cut cheese and almost even shred it into little particles? I'm pretty sure, right? Those objects, they certainly cut down the size of cheese and just almost make it into nothing.
You said it best.
Oh, I've seen this man. I've seen him in the ring. I've seen him up close. I've seen him live. I mean,
that's all you have to say then.
That's all. I don't have to say anymore. He's
exactly.
Great. In fact, real quick before we get to final thoughts, I've seen this guy do so much damage that there was this one guy who used to call himself the ruler and the leader and the nightmare. And for 1 year, just about, this individual, he won't even square off. He won't even talk to. He's so afraid of Omen Black that he kind of scours. He runs the other way almost. It's almost like when you were a kid and you knew you had a bully and you'd walk purposely like the next block over, the long route home. It's kind of like that individual. That's how afraid he is of Omen Black. So, the tribal cheese, I don't know if he'd be a match of him. I certainly don't think that those keyboard warriors would be any match for Omen Black. So Mr. Cheese, maybe that's what he could be focused on. He even says, I'm going to make the tribal cheese resemble Swiss.
I like that.
You might be a fan of Swiss cheese. Something tells me, Mr. Barrass, you might be a fan of Swiss cheese, no?
Well,
Yeah.
I acquire the taste, okay.
And I understand, knowing you as long as I have, you are a fan of hardcore, and you are a fan of hardcore gods, and you like when those go out there and do things that, we haven't seen before. So I'm pretty sure that you like that kind of wrestling, and I'm pretty sure that Omen Black would sell some tickets, because the tribal cheese is right, that sure, Saturday is the hottest ticket in town, but bringing two larger-than-life Americans who are a foundation into your company.
The thing is, would Cheese turn up? Would he turn up? Oh, damn it, it's happening. It's happening.
Are you telling me that tribal cheese would turn into that keyboard warrior that used to be able to say he could do a blockbuster, the guy that you gave the biggest opportunities of his career to, and that he would kind of turn the other way and kind of, almost kind of turn something or mislead or misinform the certain handful of people that are out there? So is that what you're telling me, that the tribal cheese, if Omen Black would show up, that the tribal cheese would turn once upon a time to that keyboard warrior that you gave the biggest opportunities for in that person's career?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Live on Sportswire right now.
I think I thought that it was going to be a tough time to follow up Mr. Chris Levitt, Mr. J. Carnage, Necro Daddy, whatever else it was. I thought it would be difficult to follow up the tribal cheese last night, but I think, you know what? The way this has turned the last 10 minutes, Ronnie Thatcher, I don't think you're going to have any chance to follow up these last 3 shows on Sportswire Radio. I wish you a lot of luck with me tomorrow and trying to top all these shows, because it seems to me like things got real interesting. I took out CCW's super heavyweight and JJ Nova, Omen Black. You name that time and place. And he also says he doesn't turn down challenges.
All right, Cheesy, you want to act all nice and hard behind the screen. You can do that. But I tell you what, your hands are full this Saturday.
You know what? Instead of worrying about Omen Black, the Tribal Cheese may have to worry about a slew of participants in that Rumble who could be coming for him. And who knows? You know what? Just maybe, James Barrass, the man that has won his last 3 matches in the ring. CCW's version of Goldberg, James Barrass. CCW's version of the Ultimate Warrior and James Barrass. CCW's version of Roman Reigns and some James Barrass could be in the state of mind like we've never seen him before. There's an old adage, be careful what you wish for. Fighter Strike 3 coming up Saturday. First match, 6 o'clock. Doors open 5:30 p.m. Could be one for the ages here. Before we get to a few final thoughts, before this show ends, yes, thank you very much for the voice of the color. It was nice to meet you. I look forward to what Saturday will come of. I know.
Well, Reverend, you don't know who this voice of the color is, and you're wishing him well. Nice to meet you. Now, what does that say about what you feel about me?
I feel well. Time out. You didn't give me a chance. Who has stuck up more for you in the past 2 years? Who has stuck up more for you in the last 2 years? When certain garbage tabloids were trying to say certain things and tried to basically misinterpret some things, some garbage tabloids out there that are better off posting photos of our favorite celebrities behind. Who defended you on the air?
Yes,
but I will say,
I agree.
Okay, and who's in the Hall of Fame? Who was inducted into the Hall of Fame today? But
is it me or is it the voice of the color? Because it seems like it's
not so fast, my friend. The voice of the colory, though, is commenting and saying, "Thank you for your support of CCW." I didn't endorse the voice of the colory. I did not endorse them. I'm just saying, nice to meet you. It doesn't mean I like or dislike. Nice to meet you.
Do you agree with the voice of the color, or do you disagree, or are you impartial?
My opinion is that you have certainly done a lot for this sport. You have done a lot for CCW, but we'll find out Saturday. So at the end of the day, I'm going to take the position that we're going to find out Saturday because I got Ronnie Thatcher Friday. Now, I don't know where Ronnie's going to fall because Ronnie Thatcher probably had more than one too many today. So I'm sure Ronnie, who knows what Ronnie's state of mind is going to be in. I mean, but I think Ronnie, we're going to find out if Ronnie's even in the Rumble. We don't know. So, I mean, I would say this, Mr. Barrass, I'm certainly taking let's see what happens. I've got you. I support you, Mr. Barrass. I've got you here. I'm supporting you, but there's no question that I'm taking a wait-and-see approach on what this voice of the colory has to offer Saturday, but you've got my vote of confidence. My vote of confidence is with you tonight, but Saturday, at the end of the day, we're less than 48 hours away from who this voice of the colory is, so that's what I say. Daniel Banner, hello, how you doing, Daniel Banner? Certainly nice to see you once again. He says you're more like Gilbert than Goldberg. I would say that the records book say 3 consecutive wins. Definitely ain't Gilbert. That's what I'm going to tell you. But good to see you, Daniel. Mr. Black says, let me know when you're able to step up in the ring with me. I can't wait for that shirt to show up just to use it as, ooh. Mr. Barrass, it looks like you made a couple of friends here tonight.
It looks like it's chocolate and bananas on that T-shirt very soon,
It ain't going to be a jam and cheese sandwich. That's what I know. It ain't going to be jam and cheese. It ain't going to be a cheddar to the table because it's his show, Omen Black. He's our 7th member of the Hall of Fame. He's the IMF Hardcore Champion. He's the Hardcore God. He's the Boogeyman of the Midwest. You want to follow him on Facebook at Omen Black, IMF on YouTube, IMF Wrestling 666. Also, Iowa Midwest Federation Wrestling. Check them out as well on Facebook. Would be great to see a collaboration between the IMF and the CCW. Who knows? Never say never. The 2 biggest promotions that come on Sportswire Radio. One that's in 400-seat venues. the other that sells 200 to 300 seat and more venues every time they're out there and does it with ease. And that would be a dream, a match made in heaven. We'll see. You never know. Listen, WWE's working with Netflix. Why not IMF work with CCW? I mean, listen, why not? To me, that's what the people want. Mr. Barrass, it has been an absolute honor and privilege to have you, all kidding aside, to have been a member of our Hall of Fame, to be able to induct you as our 24th member, our first pro wrestling promoter. It's an absolute honor to have you. Certainly, I will take a wait-and-see approach what happens Saturday, but all of that aside, I want to give you the floor, sir, give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, the floor is yours. Be my guest.
I just want to say thank you very much, everyone that's tuned in, everybody that's commented, everybody that is supporting Sportswire and the Reverend Tom Bryce and myself and CCW and other platforms that come onto the show. All wrestling does matter, and at the end of the day, we all live once. We all got to try the best that we can, and it's good that we have the platforms like Tom's, Sportswire, and CCW and IMF, all these different promotions, all these different people that put so much hard work into with the promotion, with communities, and with all the people. I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been on this ride with me. Thank you for the support from yourself, Reverend, and Sportswire. Happy birthday, Sportswire. And it's just a massive thank you to the voice of the colliery. Go to hell. I'll catch up with you on Saturday, but from everyone else, thank you for the support. Thank you for hanging by me, even on my low times and my best times. So I just want to say thank you. And again, happy 5th birthday to Sportswire.
I appreciate that. We wanted to remind people before we sign off one more time, it is CCW month on Sportswire Radio. Ronnie Thatcher will be here as a reminder also tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, 3 p.m. my time in New York. That's where you can find us, and I was able to create the banner that Ronnie gave me. I'm looking forward to speaking with Ronnie because you never know what Ronnie brings. Ronnie hasn't been here in about like 5 months on Sportswire, and every time Ronnie's here, it's like, who knows what's going to happen, so I'm looking forward to all of that. I know you'll certainly be tuned into that. Also, Daniel Banner says he'll be in CCW. Well, you know what? We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see. Anything's possible. We congratulate you. Thank you, Daniel. Nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in as well. Congratulations. Yep, we definitely agree with all
this
of that.
Guy, I want to give a massive shout out to this guy, Brian Chaplow. This Brian Chaplow, he is a diehard fan of CCW, and I remember posting something like, "Oh, I'm after the CM Punk top. I would love to have it." And then I come to a show, and he throws me something over. It's a CM Punk. He's brand new. His jersey, his T-shirt.
You wearing a sweater in the show.
Yes,
I saw that. Wow. Okay. What a small world.
Guy.
I was wondering, what are you doing with that brand new CM Punk gear? And he gave it to you, Brian.
Yes, he did.
Brian, you
did. This is absolutely fantastic. And I was like thinking, like, oh no, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know, he was telling me how good CCW has helped him with his life, his mental health, and everything like that. And he was happy to throw me a jersey, a T-shirt, whatever you call them over in the States. And at the end of the day, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, wow.
It's a shirt. You can call it.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So, Brian, thank you for supporting CCW and continuing with John as well and your family. And thank you for the T-shirt. Thank you for everything and the continuous support, even around the charities. You know, we like to donate.
Yep. And before I do anything, I want to actually give a special shout out to somebody who just tuned in, and I know is going to join us in the Hall of Fame real soon. He's actually another guy, an American, that I think you should definitely look into booking. He's a great wrestler. He's a great talent. And by the way, he could certainly help you out with some finances. He's a Bitcoin billionaire. His name is Chase Wakefield.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Chase.
Companies, Dominant Breakout Wrestling. They have over 3,500 subscribers on YouTube. Definitely another company you want to tune into. Also, he works for VTW versus the World Wrestling. Over 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. They have a phenomenal product, a lot of great talent. In fact, their champion just worked with the Barbarian. The Barbarian, of course, the legendary Barbarian from the WCW, NWA, WWF, WWE era. And this would be a guy. Look, he's looking to travel, by the way. He's looking to travel. and he's from not too far from me. He's from the state of Pennsylvania. He's got a great look. He's got a great talent. His agility, his speed, his size for what he does in the ring. He's tall but lanky. He'd definitely be somebody you want to look at. You want to follow him. He's on YouTube at Chase Wakefield. Facebook, Matthew Burford. Make sure that, Chase, you go give a friend request to James Barrass. You tell him I sent you, and give him your tapes, give him anything else, and maybe one day you could be in CCW.
He's not the voice of the colliery, by the way, is he?
No, he's a Bitcoin billionaire. He's not doing that. No, he's definitely not doing that. But Chase, you can thank me later, and congratulations, Mr. Barrass.
Thank you.
Also,
Thank you very much.
Mr. Barrass, we'll see you Saturday, and so thankful for what he does for the community. He may be a bobblehead, but all kidding aside, it's Cullery Community Wrestling. It's CCW's Fighter Strike 3 this Saturday. Doors open 5:30. First match 6 o'clock. You can't get a ticket. There's no way you can go. The only way you can actually watch the show is to go to the CCW Patreon page or when it's put up on YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I could not think of a better way to celebrate our 5-year anniversary this day on Sportswire Radio by inducting as the 24th member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, alongside the likes of the Natural Born Fighter, R.P. Davis, Dean Allmark, Justin Parsley, Josh Fletcher, Josh Allen, Ernest Dove, Omen Black, Soldier GP, Rob Maraska, Jackson Law, Chris Jones, Chris Bizet, Patrick Trotty, Randy Dillon, Chris Craven, Bentley, Bobby Tats, Donald Stewart. Also, I slipped on all the names. Luke Leyland. It's a long list. You got to forgive me. Rob Barrows. It's a long night. Luke Leyland. James Barrass himself. 24. I'm not going to be able to remember all those names anymore, but James Barrass, congratulations. Thank you for all that you do for us. I'm looking forward to seeing what this Voice of the Cullery brings Saturday. I definitely see you soon, and I can't wait to see what the future of CCW is, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and
Take care,
gentlemen.
everyone. Peace.
That was James Barrass, our owner of CCW, officially inducted into our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And one more time, CC Dub, CC Dub, CC Dub, CC Dub. We'll see everybody tomorrow. There's all the information you need on that. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio. I'll be back here 9 o'clock Eastern Time with Cameron Cage. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and CCW. That's right.